I remember whistling, and it was like a cute whistle. I didn't, make it sound like a dirty whistle.
So wait a second. So she said, "I don't talk to boys who whistle."
I don't talk to boys who whistle.
So what'd you say to her?
And I forgot what I said to her.
Yeah, then we started talking again.
Oh, then we started talking, and we used to see each other, but I was undecided the whole time, because first of all I was undecided because she used to keep me from playing ball down on the playground. She didn't like that I played ball on the playground so much, so she used to come by and I would have to be with her, so it was okay, but I liked to play ball occasionally too. So anyway, I didn't want to really go steady with her at the time because I wanted to go to school. I was going to school, and I knew I wanted to graduate school. I knew if I really get steady with her and we get married and we have a baby, I'm not going to be able to finish school. I have to go to work. So I looked ahead and I said, I want to go to school. When I finish school, then we'll talk about getting married. We'll talk about it then. And we waited. But wait a while. Anyway, before I went with her steady, she started going with some other guys. She started going with another guy who was a friend of a group of guys that were much older than her. Much older than her.
Like how old?
Oh, they were about 10 years older than her, at least 10 years older than her. I was 4 years older than her. And these guys must have been at least 10 years older than her.
Yeah, but
one guy was married. I remember one guy
was divorced.
He was divorced.
But you're missing a very, very critical part of the story that we heard yesterday. Part of the story is that you never wanted to go somewhere with Jean alone, so you would always bring another girl to make it be like you didn't want to show your commitment. So when you would go out, you would make her go with another girl, so you'd bring two girls out to make Jean not feel like she was the only one.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but you don't want to talk, you left that part out, didn't you?
You took another girl.
You took another girl out when you went out with her.
The standbys whenever we go out, all the guys would take a girl, you would take Joni and me. Always we would take a couple of girls, or Millie and me.
Right. Well, it's just to hang around.
Right.
You know.
You didn't take one girl because you didn't want to be committed.
Right.
Just come this way, see them. So, when Mommy was seeing the older guys, what did you do?
So I told her, I said, how can you go with this guy? First of all, he's divorced or something. I didn't even know if he had any children or what. Yeah. And I said, this guy is not for you. He's not for you. Believe me, Jane, he's not for you. But she wouldn't listen to me. She went anyway. But then how do I get her not to go with the guy? So I was taking her around. I started taking her.
We understand that we
started going with each other.
We understand that this guy that she had a fancy convertible.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he had a nice car.
Oh yeah, he had a car. Yeah, he was
like old. Car
he was too old for her. He's too old for you. I was trying to convince her
that
this guy's not for her. He had a car, right?
He had the car.
He had a car. And that time, if you had a car,
you were a big shot.
Yeah, you were a big shot. I had a car.
He was very good looking too. Wasn't he a good looking guy?
He was a pretty good looking guy.
Good looking guy. So I'll never forget one time this guy came to my house and Paula and Sheila were in the house. Paula, let me tell you. So they come in, I introduced him. They didn't know at the time that he was so much older than me or that he was divorced. But when I came back, they said, they said, he's too old for you. He's good for me. That's what Paula said.
She wanted him.
So I said, no, you're never here. You're not going to get in touch with him. But by the way, she thought of herself.
So, do you remember when Mommy described the first time she saw you and you
luncheonette?
At the luncheonette, what happened? How Mommy felt? Do you remember that story?
Oh yeah. When she saw me.
What did I tell you that I remember?
And she had the heart fluttering. Her heart was fluttering. She couldn't. It was. She couldn't take it. It was.
I didn't even realize at the time why, but I remembered after when we started going together. I said the first time I saw you, my heart went boom.
She said it happened at a luncheonette on Stanton Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It was a luncheonette on Stanton Street.
Right.
Right. That. Yeah.
And you were, what were you wearing?
I was wearing a hat that time, a slouch hat, and get dressed. I had a suit on, or a coat. I think I had
camel coat.
My coat was on. And I was dressed up. I know I was dressed. And that's the time I didn't know it then, but she told me later on, we went like that. And
how old were you, Gene?
I was about 18.
18.
17, 18 years old.
So when you started dating, I know that your mother liked...
Oh, yeah.
Your mother liked Mommy, but how did your parents feel about Daddy?
Oh, they liked Daddy.
Yeah?
Yeah, they liked Daddy. They were glad. They thought he was a nice boy.
Right. Our family didn't have such a good reputation in the neighborhood because Paula was a burlesque dancer, and then Sheila was a burlesque dancer. So her mother was very, very strict with her and didn't let us stay out too late, so I had to bring her back earlier than all the rest of the people.
She didn't want her to get in trouble.
Right, because she didn't want to have any difficulties with Paula. When Paula moved away, she's working, so she figured Jeannie's going to do the same thing. And the family had enough of a bad reputation in the neighborhood, so she didn't want Jeannie to be out all hours of the night. So she was much more stricter with Jeannie than she was with the other two before her. So
when you
I had to make sure that she didn't come home too late.
Well, when your mother heard that you were dating somebody from her family, was she upset?
Oh, no, she wasn't really upset. She didn't, I don't really know her true feelings, but she said Mrs. Lindebaum is a nice woman. She's a nice woman, and she didn't, she didn't discuss the sisters, and I knew she did. I knew
she knew about it.
Knew that she knew about it, right? My sisters knew the family too, and the whole neighborhood knew the family.
We were very popular.
Well, didn't you say one time when you were on the ship there was a magazine with Paula in it?
Oh yeah.
Well,
one time I got a magazine at wherever it was. I got a magazine. I brought it on the ship with me to read. And I'm reading it on the ship, and I see Sister Sheila.
Oh, Sheila.
Her sister Sheila. Sheila it was. And I don't remember what name she was using. Lynn, I think. This is Sheila Lynn.
Yeah. And Paula went first.
And I used to show the guys. See this girl?
My neighborhood.
My neighborhood. I know the girl. I know the girl's sister.
I'm going to marry her.
So I became a big shot. I knew somebody in a magazine.
That was funny.
So, after you got out of college, what happened? Did you decide that you wanted to marry Mommy?
We got married 2 weeks after.
2 weeks after?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he graduated college like January 31st, and we got married February 19th.
We made our plans before I graduated.
Yeah, we knew he was going to graduate. We couldn't get married before.
And we got married February 19th.
Yeah.
So Gene told us the story about how you got in a car with a hack, taking you up to the Catskills to meet her parents, and the driver was ribbing you.
Oh my God!
And then the day you got married,
we went up to the mountains with this guy before we were married.
That's right. And then when you got married, you got in the car with the same
guy, the same hack driver.
He was teasing us that in-laws, you know, your future in-laws, you're going to have to marry her, they're inviting you to the country, that means you're stuck, you know, and he was teasing us all the way there. And then sure enough we get married, get in the car and say, oh, look who's there. The guy that said we're going to get married.
I remember that very well. Yeah, could you imagine getting the same driver up before we were married?
Especially because he was teasing you that you're going to probably get married.
Right.
That's funny.
It was really something.
So where did you honeymoon? Did you go on a honeymoon?
We
went to Laurel and the Pines
in Lakeview, New Jersey.
in Lakeview, New Jersey. Right.
Most of our friends went to the hotels in the Catskills, but we went, this was a fancy hotel.
Yeah.
It was fancier. So
And
we
this
went
guy
to
Lawrence Tisch, who later became multi.
He was the president of CBS and later
Yes.
started the Tisch School for the Arts at NYU. He's a legendary media person.
Oh, you know him.
Yeah, so what about him?
He owned this hotel that we went to.
Wow.
And those pictures are from outside the hotel, you know.
Right, his family. I shouldn't say him. It was his family that owned the hotel. I remember, you know, I forgot the exact name of the hotel. Laurel and the Pines.
You said Laurel.
So
Laurel and the Pines, yeah.
Those pictures were at your honeymoon?
At our honeymoon.
The ones on
Yeah.
the table?
And the one that's in the three.
Okay.
pictures. One,
Yeah, those 3 pictures there.
Yeah. That was your honeymoon.
That was my honeymoon. Yeah. That was
And then where did you get your first apartment?
the first apartment was a little tiny apartment
And they used to call them
on
like
2nd Street. It was
Railroad.
next to, right, a few steps away from Hector's Bakery. They used to have a bakery on 2nd Street. Across the street from us was the Safeway, and they had this Hector's Bakery, and a few steps away was the apartment house. It was like a redone apartment house. It was an old
We
apartment.
paid $40 a month rent, and then we got a television. They gave us a $2 increase. So they had the antenna on the roof. And then we had a clothesline. Everybody brought their clothes to the dryer. I hung my clothes on the clothesline in the backyard. There was a big clothesline. Everybody had diaper service. I never had diaper service. I bought my own diapers and washed them.
Oh my.
That was with Debbie, and hung them on the line. And then I had a nice neighbor. She was like right next to me, and she had 2 kids. So every time I'd get in trouble with the baby, you know, if I didn't know what to do something, she would come in and help me. She was very nice. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a nice lady.
So you had a baby in that apartment?
We had Debbie in that apartment.
Debbie
When Debbie was like 11 months old, we moved to Rosedale in the house.
Right.
And then you moved next door to your sister?
Yeah, we bought 2 houses together, Sheila and Jackie.
You both moved in at the same time?
Yeah. Sheila came back from California, and she said, you got to buy a house, you can't live in an apartment. She was the one, otherwise I would have always stayed in an apartment. Who knew from a house? People on the east side didn't buy houses, but she got me into the house. It was a cute little house. Very cute. But my house in Maryland was really nice house.